Today I'm taking a look at the UMI Pro. This is an updated version of their Pro model. A few differences which we'll go into later on. Just taking the handset out of the box. Metal case on most of the handset, 5.5-inch screen. You also get included a USB charger. This is the Euro version. There is a small tool for opening the SIM and memory card slot, and the USB Type-C cable. This is a newer type of cable, allows you to insert it both ways into the phone, and there is a small instruction manual. Taking a closer look at the front, we have a 5.5-inch Full HD screen, and looking at the back, the addition of a fingerprint reader for security and a Sonic camera with a dual LED flash and a single speaker at the bottom here. On the side of the phone we have the normal power button and volume control. This is also metal, the same as the bezel of the case. At the bottom we have a microphone and the newer USB Type-C connector. Unlike the micro USB, you can insert this in either direction. Once you put the cable in, it's quite a secure fit. You have to push that in. Hopefully there'll be less chance of damage with this type of cable as well. On the right hand side, you use the tool, push that in, and it opens up the cover. You insert two nano SIM cards into this, but if you're using a memory card with it, a microSD, you'll only be able to use one of the SIM cards at the same time. The Pro features a Full HD 5.5-inch IPS panel, and as you can see, moving the screen around here, the viewing angles are excellent. Colours and saturation are also quite nice. Really nothing to fault the phone on in this regard. It's a very good display panel inside here. Charging speeds on the Iron Pro were good, just under 1.25 amps. The battery life was also excellent. You're looking at least a day with fairly heavy use, and with light use up to 2 days is possible. The Iron Pro features a few ways of unlocking the phone. You have the iPrint scanner, but perhaps the most interesting is the fingerprint reader. To get this to work, you'll need to calibrate it first, and you can calibrate it for a number of different fingers. What you do is hold the phone and lift and place the finger on the back of the sensor. Now I found this did take a bit longer than I expected. If it's not working perfectly, then you'll get a vibration feedback. If it's working fine, you'll see the red outline increase over time until it's got the full fingerprint scan. The slight downside to this is if you grab the phone at a different angle once it's calibrated, it didn't seem to unlock as well. On the other hand, once it was done properly, I found that it was most of the time consistently unlocking the phone. You have an option to unlock via another method like a pin or a swipe pattern. It's quite a good feature and it works quite well. The specs on the Iron Pro are pretty much identical to the previous model, the standard Pro. This is using the 8-core MediaTek MT6753 processor. Also you have 3GB of RAM, which is a lot for a phone in this class. Storage is 16GB, and there was just under 12GB spare without any apps installed from the box. Now the performance of the phone was actually slightly higher than the original Iron. I'm not exactly sure why that is. There may be some minor tweaks there, possibly memory speeds have increased. In day-to-day use, you're not going to find the phone slow at all. It's quite a fast handset. It's certainly competitive with comparable mid-level offerings. What I've done is just put a few benchmarks up here so you can see how it compares to other phones at higher and lower price points. There really isn't much to complain about in terms of performance of the phone. It's quite a solid performer at the mid-level.
Was finally revealed to the liars. Game over. This winter, Pretty Little Liars flashes forward.
We're gonna be doing a time jump, about 5 years. Do you think they're still upset with me? 5 free years. You have to admit that felt good. A lot has happened, good, bad, and ugly, but all of it was uncontaminated by A. So this court thing, are we gonna...
Looking at the cameras now, the front and rear cameras are actually quite good on the Iron Pro. Here we're looking at the rear camera and zooming in on a low light shot inside, and it does quite well. There's a few artifacts where a mixture of sharpening and noise reduction. The details are pretty good. Outside again, resolution is actually quite good, slightly high on the contrast and a little bit warm, but the color balance is quite good most of the time I found with the camera on this phone. Now again, there's a little bit of over sharpening. It's an improvement over the original Iron model though. Also you have the option to adjust some of the pictures with crops and filter effects. This is the standard one that's included out of the box with the phone. One of the more interesting features on the Iron Pro is the notification light. This flashes in a pulse type fashion, but the best part is that you can customize this to one of 7 individual colors. It doesn't sound like a huge feature, but it's actually quite useful when you're using the phone. Included with the phone is a health app. You just open that up and it's possible to measure your heart rate, and there's also a stress monitor. To do this, you simply put your finger at the top here and it measures the heartbeat. Gives you an indication of what the measurement is. To be honest, they're just a bit of fun. I wouldn't take them too seriously. It's a slightly gimmicky sort of add-on that they've put into the phone. The phone runs a standard stock 5.1 Android. There are a few extra options such as gestures included. It's also possible to adjust the layout of the navigation buttons, though to be honest I would prefer if the phone did have hard navigation buttons rather than on the screen. Wrapping up with the conclusion on the UMI Iron Pro, I enjoyed using the phone. I didn't detect any obvious bugs or issues, which wasn't necessarily the case with the previous model. There were a few problems with that. Most of them got addressed, but this seems to have fully addressed all the issues. There are some improvements in this model. The sound seems slightly better. The performance, despite using the same hardware, was also improved very slightly. I like the fingerprint scanner. That's quite nice to use that, and it makes unlocking the phone very quick and easy. A few other points to note: the USB Type-C is welcomed, though I would prefer if they had a central position on the socket. That means if you put it into a car charger you might have problems with that. It would be better in the middle. I'd also prefer the touch capacitive buttons separate, not on the screen. That's something that I would change, but in other areas it's quite a strong phone. You get a good display, good performance, and it's well built. It's certainly one of the stronger mid-level offerings at this price point.